Hello. Thank you for joining us. Today is Tuesday, 14th December 2021. Mwaka iko karibu kuisha. And I'm grateful for the far we've come. Yeah, for the strides you've made, for the growth you've shown. Yeah, for the friends you've made. It has been good. So thank you so much for those who are joining us. For those who will be joining, for those who will sit and watch the whole video as it happens, thank you so much. Feel free to share it to your friends, your family, or whoever you feel can benefit from this topic of today. My name is Grace Kasiva. I am the current psychologist for Nzumari, Africa. We are a community-based organization, and our main focus is the youth. Tunapenda kuwork na vijana sana sana, and we are also youth led, and we are based at Huruma. We offer free psychosocial support services, and it's also a place where you can come and be yourself, interact with your fellow youth, and ukue tu hapo, and you're able to grow, to create new friends, to progress well in life. Yeah. So feel welcome to join us. This is Nzumari Africa, and we are glad to be having this Facebook Live interaction na nyinyi wote. The last time we did this was around September. I think the second last week, the third week of September, around 21st. We were talking about anger and why it can be a problem for this particular interaction. And we are now talking about gender-based violence. I can see Abi sasa, poa sana, uko aje? Umekuwa aje? It's been long. Thank you so much for joining and being a constant audience. Feel free, please, share the video to your friends waingie join so that you can be interactive. Feel free. Niko poa sana. Wewe uko aje? Umekuwa aje? I think it's been 2 months since tuonane. I hope umekuwa poa. Leo tunaongelelea gender-based violence and the aspect ya kufeel present, kufeel safe so that you can be fully present, particularly after you have gone through any form of gender-based violence. And so Abi, mimi nimekuwa poa. Sijui wewe umekuwa aje? What's new with you? As you continue with us, I have posted a pre-survey form for you to fill for me. Kama wewe ni participant uko hapa and you're watching us, nimepost the pre-survey form. Kindly fill it so that we can be able to get to know you better. Thank you, Abdul. Many miss. Hata mimi niliwa miss nyinyi wote. So, okay, Abiko uko hapa, or whoever else who is watching, what do you understand by gender-based violence? I think it's been maybe recently, kitambo kidogo, there was 16 days of activism that ilikuwa ina happen because of gender-based violence. It is something that it's a campaign that started I think in 1991, yes, and it's more of trying to encourage the world or create awareness to stop activism against gender-based violence against women. And it's been happening for 16 days, particularly since 25th November to 10th December. Sijui kama wewe during that time you participated and you created awareness about gender-based violence, ama you got more education about it, ama you got more resources about it. I don't know what you did about it. King K, thank you so much, King K. You have arrived. Yes, thank you for coming. If you don't mind, you can share the video with somebody else so that they can keep joining. Yeah, to your friends, unaweza share so that they can join. And I would want an active participation with from all of you, ndio tuongee vizuri, so to flow. So nilikuwa naongea kuhusu the 16 days of activism that happened recently from 25th November to 10 December. So yeah, Abi unasema you participated in it. If you don't mind, unaweza tuambia how you participated in it. What did you do particularly? If you don't mind, you can share. And so topic ya gender-based violence inakuanga a bit very broad, and sometimes it can be very sensitive and personal. And so even as we talk about it, we can try and create more awareness. If you're bold enough, uko hapo, you're watching us, you're bold enough to tell us of your experience of gender-based violence that you went through, that you have healed through, and or something that you just saw from maybe on TV or whatever, you can feel free to share that personal experience. But just feel free. You're not coerced to do anything. It's only that you're free to share. So yes, gender-based violence, it's really broad, and kitambo ilikuwa like a personal thing. Ilikuwa kind of personal, like ilikuwa maybe family oriented, ama haikuwa kitu of the public really sana. Haikuwa, ungepata issues of marital rape, intimate partner violence and all that. Ilikuwa ina happen hivyo, but nowadays it has become a public thing, mostly in the talking about it, creating awareness, and the interventions that have been made to ensure that this particular thing called gender-based violence ends. Princess Ojok, I hope na pronounce vizuri. Hi, how are you? I am doing well myself. How are you doing? You can, but there as you come in, unaweza tuambia the year has ended, and what is this one thing you've learned that or you have been doing to ensure that your mental health iko sawa? I think maybe I can post that even as we continue. What have you done this year to ensure your mental health wellness? Participants, I have posted a question as we are near the end of the year. I think tuko halfway December. Tumebaki na kitu 16 more days to cross over to 2022. And so if you don't mind, you can be answering the question, what you have done this year to ensure your mental health wellness. Maybe for me, I can say this year I have been doing, I personally have gone for therapy also. Not to say that I have a mental illness, but just for the routine checkup, or just to ensure that I'm learning new skills, I'm learning new ways to cope. I have gone for therapy myself. I have been practicing or doing a lot of walks, evening walks. I love them. Listening to a lot of music, being very intentional with the kind of audience that or the kind of people I interact with. I have done that. Created boundaries across the board, professionally, personally, socially. That is one of the ways in which myself I have been able to ensure that my mental health wellness is okay. I've also been trying to do some workouts at home and drinking a lot of water. Oh yes, and getting enough rest. I know people glorify kulala, like kufanya kazi sana, but it's also important to kumbuke kulala enough at night is important. It is equally important. Yes. So nimeona Kinke ameandika message hapo inasema it feels good that nowadays people are taking the initiative and now coming out either to speak about it or create awareness of it. Yes, it is a very good thing. Thank you, King, for that. It's a good thing that nowadays people are being more vocal about gender-based violence. People are being more vocal about creating awareness on gender-based violence and talking about their experiences, and we are able to really know as a society how to deal with it, because remember, it is a sensitive issue that should be treated in a sensitive manner, especially when you're dealing with the survivors. And so yes, and this brings me to this thing that is called the Me Too movement. I don't know if you've come across it ama umeisikia, particularly in the western countries. Me too, yani kusema hata mimi nimepitia hivi. Someone would just come up and say there's someone at work who are sexually harassed me, and a lot of women would come up and say me too, me too, and they would give their experiences and share their personal experiences, so that huyo mtu mwenye anadhani ako peke yake, the survivor that feels as though this only happens to people like them, or this only happens to her particularly, ama people who look like her, and as I feel like, oh, kumbe it may happen to so many other people, because there's power in voices, in creating a voice. There's power in masses sometimes. And so I don't know if you've come across the Me Too movement. I did, and I saw how effective it can be in maintaining tranquility in workplaces, in families, in marriages, in social settings, and so, and even in churches, and so in religious, not just churches, in religious institutions. I can say Princess Uju Kamesema that one way that she lets that she has done this year to ensure her mental health wellness is just let things be, not forcing issues, talking to your trusted friend about what is bothering you, taking a lot of rest, and also setting boundaries. That is nice. That is nice. And I love Apo Mesema about what talking about what is bothering you. That is one powerful thing that anyone can ever do. If you're going through something that you feel is really heavy for you, kunyamaza si dawa. Saa zingine, most of the time actually, it is good to look for somebody who you trust to talk about what you're going through, whether or not you feel as though it's petty, whether or not you feel as though it's ni kitu kidogo ama watu wengi wamepitia, so no, it has affected you and it is valid, and you should just look for someone trusted just to talk about it. And thank you so much, Princess Ojok, for that comment. I really appreciate it. Anyone else in the audience, you can feel free to talk about what you've been doing this year to ensure your mental health wellness. It can be a very simple thing, but imekusaidia along the way. So feel free to just talk about it and text it, and we will be able to share and even us learn new things from you. Yeah, we want to learn new things. And so, as I was talking about the the Me Too movement, Me Too movement ilituonyesha that it mostly revealed that when it comes to gender-based violence, yes, the physical effects ama the scars, the physical effects zinaweza kuwa ama injuries zinaweza kuwa zimeisha, and physically you are not seeing the effect of the violence, but now sasa the psychological injuries ndio zimebaki. Sorry, because those people who are talking about me too, me too, me too, they looked healthy, we didn't see the scars. You hardly ever see the physical scars, but now there is the emotional scars that are driving them to talk about this me too, to talk about what they have also gone through. And so when it comes to GBV, gender-based violence, it's not really a matter of looking at physically. Yes, physically it can be seen for some people if the violence was maybe kukatwa na kitu ama kuumia mguu, kuvunjika and became disabled. In cases of war, you probably were hit by a bullet, etc, etc, and now there's a scar, and that one we can see. What about the inward scars? Hizo za ndani. That is what Me Too for me ili reveal, that it's not only about the physical scars but also the psychological, the mental scars, the emotional scars that happen when somebody goes through gender-based violence. And so you find in such situations kuna a lot of transmitting of sexual infections, sexually transmitted infections like HIV. When someone is raped, when someone is harassed sexually, even at work, there's a lot of miscarriages for women and low birth weight. For a pregnant woman, especially if you're going through physical violence at home, unapata it becomes possible for you to miscarry. There are physical injuries that are life-threatening. Maybe you had a head trauma, there's a clot somewhere, etc, etc. You can feel free to share about the effects of gender-based violence. And as I was doing some research about this, nilipata kujua that globally an average of 119 women are killed every day by an intimate partner. Sijui kama mmeona kwa news lately, not lately, I think from kitambo kidogo, women, the wives and the children being killed. There's a lot of killings that is happening. And so according to research, 119 women are killed. Now that's globally, across the globe. They are killed every day by an intimate partner. According to research also, 1 in 3 women in Kenya experience sexual violence before the age of 18. 1 in 3. So you can imagine that's a very big percentage, and more than a third of women have experienced physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. So those statistics here is okay. They are a point of worry, and over the years, as I said, the discussion of gender-based violence imeendelea na it may create awareness and people are able to become more sensitive. However, it's still a point of concern, and it's important for us to talk about it and just to see how we can ensure that everybody is protected and their human rights are taken care of. So types of gender-based violence, maybe I can write the question: what are the types of GBV? For those who are watching, I can see Abby and Awatch and Princess, so feel free to comment the types of GBV. najua tunazijua, but I would love some participation from you guys, and so feel free to comment the types of gender-based violence that you know of. What are the types of gender-based violence? I am looking at the comments to see if there are any. I think I can begin to mention them one by one. There is sexual violence that includes sexual harassment, rape, marital rape. I know there has been discussion about marital rape. There are cultures that condemn it. There are cultures that do not condemn it. And so I don't know what you think about it. Yeah, they can see rape, battering, intimate partner violence. Thank you, King K. Thank you, Princess Ojok, for that. There is also trafficking for sexual exploitation. Thank you for that. Physical assault. Thank you for that. Yes, all those are forms or types of gender-based violence. There is also harmful female genital mutilation, that is under harmful traditional practices. Yeah, there is also emotional and psychological violence. Mostly the manipulation that happens, especially when you're with an intimate partner. It is the emotional abuse that you go through, even as a child with the parents or guardians. All that is also the socio-economic violence. Child marriage, yes, child marriage also is a form of gender-based violence. And as you can see in all this, as unaona, most of these things affect women, but we are not saying that men do not also go through GBV. I know also men do, and if you hear a man, Abby and King, you can maybe enlighten us kidogo about gender-based violence when we're talking about now the boy child, the male gender. Unaweza to enlighten kidogo in what forms do men particularly go through this kind of violence, maybe sexual violence, physical violence, emotional and psychological violence. Do men go through any harmful traditional practices? Do they go through socio-economic violence? Maybe you can enlighten us kidogo tujue more about this. If you've heard about it, we would love to hear from you. And so when you're looking at this, you can imagine talking about child marriage. A girl as early as 19 years old being married. Funny thing, they get married to old men actually. And it interferes with their whole life structure completely. There is FGM that is still a factor in some communities right now in the year 2021, where there has been a lot of advancements in technology and etc. Yeah, and rape is still there. You will hear father raping the daughter, uncle raping the nieces, friends raping a friend, you know, and it happens. It's still happening. Battering, watu kuchapwa, someone using their power against someone else just because you know you can beat them. You beat them. So All these are types of gender-based violence. And even when it comes to socioeconomic, we talk about legal matters, obstructing legal access. That is also a form of gender-based violence. And so, as we're talking about this, remember our topic is feeling safe so that you can be fully present. And as we are thinking, tukifikiria kuhusu GBV and the people who have gone through it, I know most of the time we think about them as victims, but it can be a good thing, or it can be a healing point if we can think about them as, if we can see them as survivors and not victims. Sorry, if we can see them as survivors and not victims, that can be a good point of reference even as we continue to create more awareness and end GBV. Remember, gender-based violence has imeacha kukua a private issue, imeacha kukua something isolated. It is now a public thing, and it will remain that way, so that we can have bold voices, more bold voices, and end it. Because if GBV can be planned, if you can plan to marry off a child, if you can plan to rape somebody, if you can plan to beat someone, then you can also be punished, because it is something that you are doing knowing that you are doing this. If it is something planned, then it can be something that can be punishable. And so think about it and let me know about all this. Yeah, so there are mental health outcomes when it comes to gender-based violence. Na zile primary ni issues to do with anxiety, which is a mood disorder, depression, a mood disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Hizi ndio the primary effects of gender-based violence. Zimekuwa summed up because we can want to pinpoint them one by one, because we can talk about panic attacks, we can talk about isolation, withdrawal, etc. But zote zikikuwa summed up, they come to anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and also suicidal ideations. So when talking about anxiety, it's the feeling of constant worry and fear about your a particular situation or someone or something, and you're not able to fully function in that environment because you are constantly at worry. You feel like you don't have control of the situation most of the time. When you're talking about depression, it's there's no longer hope for life. You no longer, no, not for life, a motivation for doing things. You feel like you're hopeless, everything lessness, hopelessness, helplessness. Yes, everything lessness. That is what depression brings about. There's also, of course, the aspect of withdrawing and not enjoying the activities you used to do before. Adding of weight and loss of weight, it can happen to both extremes. There are periods of insomnia, lacking of sleep, and not being able to go on with your day-to-day activities as you used to before. And then there is post-traumatic stress disorder. This is where a particular situation inakufanya una feel anxious kila time, inakufanya una feel I can't do this. There is hypervigilance. Unashinda ukiangalia environment yako to ensure that nothing reminds you of what you went through. There is a lack of sleep. There is you just want to isolate and not be in social settings, and etc. And now suicidal ideations, now it comes to a point where you no longer feel there's hope for life, and so you just want to do away with your life. And yeah, it's better off not living than living, because what you've gone through is too heavy for you to carry. These are the primary um outcomes, mental health outcomes of gender-based violence. Sijui wewe unajua gani zingine? Maybe kuna kitu unaona nimemiss out that is very very important. When talking about children who go through gender-based violence when at an early age, remember tumesema by age before age 18, 1 out of 3 women have in Kenya experience sexual violence before age 18. So unaweza imagine, this is a child, and children need they need safety, they need a good environment to thrive into their adulthood. But sasa if this child is going through GBV as early as you can imagine them as adults wenye watakuwa, and the effect and the trauma and their relationships moving forward, if it's not taken care of, if it is not handled, inakuwa a whole big issue. So now I would like us to come, sijui kama kuna mtu ako na swali until there, because I would like to now come to the part of the topic of today, feeling safe keeps you fully present when you're talking about gender-based violence. Kama uko hapo uko na swali, kindly you can ask the question, and myself or mtu mwenye ako kwa audience atakujibu. Yeah, bado naona kuna watu wako wana watch, so if you're there, you have a question, kindly ask. Thank you, Abi. I can just see you liking the post. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, as you're typing your questions kama uko nayo, and please remember ile form nilituma kwa comments hapo juu after comment ya Abi, nilituma form pre-survey, kindly ujaze. Yeah, I will appreciate that. So feeling safe, kuna aspect mbili nataka tuangalie. There is feeling safe and being safe. Do you think they are different, feeling safe and being safe? Yes, acha ni pose your question. The difference between feeling safe and being safe. What is the difference between feeling safe and being safe? I think the difference is in the definition. Ya ku feel safe na ku be safe. So as you type in that, feeling safe and being safe, what is the difference? I hope there's someone who is typing. Maybe I can begin to explain it. Being safe is I think I can give an example. Like where I am right now, I am safe. I have locked the door. The gate is also locked. There are police officers that work, or maybe watchmen. There's a watchman at the gate. Yeah, not police officers really, but I'm talking about my current situation. There's a watchman at the gate, and I am safe. I have not heard of any threat that is external. Bado sijasikia. I can only hear birds outside and vehicles. So sijasikia any kind of threat. And my environment, there is no war. So I am safe. That is being safe. Now, feeling safe is I am here and I feel like hakuna danger inanikujia hata kama niko safe, because you could be safe but you don't feel safe because maybe where I have ama kitambo maybe nimego through maybe it's an example, maybe thieves broke into the office or where I live, and there was some violence etc, wakaiba, and so so wherever I am in that position or alone or at night, or if I'm in the same environment as I was when the assault happened, I will not feel safe hata kama niko safe. Let me read your comments. Someone can feel safe and is not safe at the same time. Yes, thank you Abby, thank you so much for that. If you can give us an example ndo tuweze kuelewa. Najua watu watawatch baadaye pia na kuna wale wanaweza kosa kuelewa. If you can give us an example, please do. Princess Ojuok yes, amesema feeling safe is when your environment makes you feel safe, but being safe, you're always looking out for yourself. It is true. So when you look about this, Abby amesema you can feel safe and you are not safe at the same time. True story. Ama you can be safe but not feel safe. It's like and let me give you an example of somebody who is afraid of flying with an aeroplane. And let me give that as my example. And I am afraid of flying with an aeroplane, and so I go for therapy and I describe to my therapist that I do not love flying with an aeroplane, and so I prefer driving. And so imagine I am going to Mombasa and I opt to imagine I have the money to pay for an air ticket, and I go to Mombasa and I'm supposed to go to Mombasa, and I tell my therapist that I prefer driving to Mombasa, that is 8 hours, maybe from Nairobi, yeah, on average. And a flight, I hear it's 45 minutes, yeah. So because I do not feel safe with an aeroplane, I decide to go on bus or I drive. If you can look it in a more logical way, number one, it is known that flights are, flying is the safest means of transport, although it's known also as the most fatal. And then now there is driving, where a lot of accidents happen, and assuming maybe kukuwe na traffic and uko stuck in jam and hamwezi move. There's a time kulikuwa na traffic mbaya sana, watu walilala kwa barabara, and so my fear or my me not feeling safe will make me expose myself to a situation that I will not be safe hata kama I feel like I am safe. Sijui kama mnashika hiyo example. Ninaenda na gari ni assuming I drive or nende na basi na kuna flight na ni 45 minutes, and yet inasemekana that flights are actually safer. So hata hiyo aspect ya kufeel safe, it's only yani fear yako ita last for only 45 minutes, and if actually you're going for therapy and you can learn how to minimize the fear of flights, it's safer to go with the flight. But because I want to feel safe, and me being in a plane will not make me feel safe. I will go I will go with a car so that I can feel safe. And yet, I am probably exposing myself to a lot of danger going with the car as compared to the plane. Sijui kama mnashika hivyo. You can feel like you want to be safe, but in reality, you're not really safe compared to your situation. So, well, now going back, at least now watu wameelewa. So even when Abi was saying someone can feel safe and is not safe at the same time, it is true. You can also feel like you're safe, but you're not safe. Like in the example nimepeana, you can feel like you're safe, but honestly, you're probably not safe. Yes, feeling safe is in the mind, while being safe is something that can be seen. Yes. Thank you, Abby, for that comment. So now, when as human beings, we have the need constantly to feel safe inwardly, regardless of the situation. Tuko na hiyo need, and sometimes we can do anything to make sure that you feel safe. Oh, Jolly, thank you for joining. Feeling safe is about your inner gut feeling, trusting your inner gut that you are safe. Being safe is taking precautions, for example, avoiding to walk at night so that you don't get mugged. Yes, thank you, Jolie, for that comment. It is true. And so when now coming back to our topic ya gender-based violence, utapata that after you've gone through at any type of gender-based violence, yes, you probably will ensure moving forward, especially if you go through therapy, or at that moment ulipata usaidizi yenye ulikuwa unafaa kupata and you are protected, and so you'll find that after some time your environment may be safe, but we mwenyewe you don't feel safe. And so it really ensures that you are able to adjust now, because now the biggest challenge when it comes to gender-based violence and coping, and now the trauma that comes in, is now adjusting to change. Because most of the time utapata survivors, remember tuwaiti victims, tunawaita survivors, wanafika mahali and they really want things to remain constant, kukuwe na routine. Like if for example I underwent through sexual violence, for example rape, and I was raped maybe at night, so you'll find I will not be able to walk in the night. And so this person at this particular time lazima by this time akuwe amefika nyumbani, ama akuwe amefika mahali anakuanga, ndio asijieke kwa situation like alikuwa when the violence was happening. But now what happens when now ujipate now in a new environment, maybe it's a work environment, na you are required to work at night, ama you're exposed to the situation where you were before, when the violence was happening. So there is that change that comes in, and adjusting to change can be very stressful, because the body will interpret change as danger. The body will always interpret change as gender when we are talking about survivors of any kind of violence that brought about trauma. And so, and that is why utapata reactions zinakuanga mbili, especially ukiwa triggered. There is either someone who will be very worried and shaky and that's hyper arousal, ama kuna mtu atakuwa ajikunje, akae ni kama oh my god, ana isolate, ako very stressed, that's hyper arousal. So those are the two different reactions to all this. And so as we are continuing living, there are situations that, of course, especially if maybe you've experienced an accident, etc. It becomes a challenge to get back to your routine because you want to feel safe. And remember, feeling, as the topic suggests, feeling safe keeps you fully present. And sometimes, even as you go through a trigger, you're not fully present at work, in your family, with your friends, because you're always guarded. And so it is important, it is very important for survivors of gender based violence, or even for us, whether or not you have gone through GBV, um, to remember to always notice if there's a lot of change happening around you. Notice the things that have remained constant externally. Yeah, it is good to notice, like hapo geti yenyu bado ni ile ile color, your neighbor ni ule ule, in the office the files are still the same place, you know, barabara haija change, traffic light. Notice, always keep noticing the things that externally may remain the same. That will be able to make you feel calm, whether or not, if you're going through, whether or not there's change that has happened in your environment after cases of gender-based violence, or just with life naturally, if you're struggling with change. Because remember, the body interprets change as danger, because now this is a new thing, haujawaiona, so now you're coming across it and you're like, oh my god, what is happening, evil. So always notice the things around you that have not changed. Also, now yourself, focus on yourself and the good that you have, felt as along the way, your growth, uh, your growth as a person, the positive. Anchor yourself to the positive. Focus on what is good around you, with the people around you. It really helps you to overcome and to feel safe and be present in the moment. Also, now notice the internal. Whenever you're feeling the feelings you're feeling, avoid running away from them. Just be aware of them. If you feel like it's something that is very overwhelming, as Princess Ojok said hapo mbele, alisema, ukiona comment yake alisema, look for a trusted friend and talk about what you're feeling and what you're going through. That is how you notice your internal. Notice your feelings, avoid running away from them, and be there at the present. Remember, we're talking about gender-based violence. And so I can say we are left with around 10 minutes. So if you're there and you have a question, if you're there, you're able to talk about your experience with us, please feel free to comment hapo chini. And I know gender-based violence is something sensitive, and people should not be coerced into talking about their issues. Remember, this is a person's story. It's not yours to say. Actually, you should probably talk about your own story when it comes to gender-based violence. And so allow this person to talk to you about their story. If they give you permission to talk about their story, then go ahead. Only if you get a consent. For gender-based violence, always remember, if you come across someone who has gone through any form of gender-based violence, kindly ensure that you quickly protect them, give them assistance, do no harm to them, make them feel less judged, make them feel less victimized, and ensure that they are able to know that they can fight for their rights and for themselves. That goes a long way to ensure good recovery from the trauma that they've come across. So if you're there and you have a question, I think, I can see Frank sasa, at least tusalimie kidogo. I think ni wewe ninaona, so you can say hi to us and tell us anything. Maybe if you're there and not to watch and you have a question, feel free I think I have finished. I already have a comment also. Feel free to share with us. We would love to hear more from you. Remember, ile pre-survey form nimepost. After the session nitapost ya post survey, nitaipost. Yeah, so yeah, nangoja maswali ama comments zenye mko nazo kama ziko. Abi, I can see you still liking. Thank you. Remember to share the video to watch. Yeah, and people, we welcome you to our center at Huruma, Nzumari, Africa, at St. Daniel Komboni Church, Catholic Church. Activities imerudi, so check out our social media platforms for our engagements on Twitter, on Facebook group yetu ya Youth Gathering Spaces na pia Instagram. So check them out, you will see what we are up to na interact na sisi, share with your friends. Yeah, from lini? From leo King. Yeah, from leo you can check out, you can look out for our interactions. Tutakuwa tunazipost social media, so utaangalia ujue. Guys, we are also offering free psychosocial support. If you can check our social media platforms, kuna poster ya psychologist services tumeweka. There's a number there. Feel free to call or WhatsApp or text if you need any so psychosocial support. Tell your friends about it. You can make referrals. Poa sana Frank. Aki, umefanya poa kutusalimia Aki. Kukumisi, umekuwa poa. Tuko poa. Frank, I hope pia wewe uko poa. Thank you so much. Thank you Jolie for the comment. Nauliza kwenda King, tutakwambia about kwenda center. We are going to put it on our WhatsApp group. Yes, tutawaambia. Yeah, so I think hamuna maswali. I think kila kitu imeisha. Maybe I can end the session here. Yes, kesho ndo tuko na Twitter engagement, so check it out. We'll be talking about mental health and postpartum. Yes. Jolie amesema tomorrow we are open. King, umeona? Kesho center iko open, so you can check it out. Yeah. Actually hata Friday I think itakuwa open. That's physically, yeah. Tutakuwa na support group session. Yeah. So yeah, hata counseling tunakuwa nazo either virtually ama physically. So yeah, thank you so much guys. It's been real. Yeah, see you next week. Bye bye.